Welcome back. Today we are going to be dyeing my first ever mid-immersion dye. That's right. This one here was called Down to Earth. It is still available. It is still a stunningly beautiful colorway. Absolutely love it. This one here is based on a photo of just a little mushroom and kind of a little bit of moss coming up and everything else. It is a beautiful, beautiful colorway. Big reveal at the end, as always. So this one again, mid-immersion, which means we've got lots of soak in the pots, and we're actually doing a different view for you here. So you've got 4 pots to look at, almost. You know, you got a little bit on the left, a little bit on the right, and then 2 of the center pots. Now what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to see differences on how the dye actually interacts. When we talk about hand-dyed yarn, we always say no 2 skeins are ever the same. And basically my job is to do my absolute best to make sure that larger batches are exactly the same. So we kind of go through the same motions, we put the same amount of dye into each pot, but the yarn's going to do what the yarn's going to do. So that is probably one of my favorite parts of a highly variegated yarn like we're doing here in these mid-immersions is there is so much variation that as long as we can keep the color kind of the same between pots, they actually blend together really, really well in a larger project. I would still highly suggest perhaps, you know, alternating skeins between rows. That way you get a little bit more of that blending, but these high immersions are absolutely perfect for your cardigans and blankets, whatever your larger projects happen to be. And they're actually perfect for small projects too. You can make a pair of socks out of these guys here. So we've got a little bit of blue in the pot. That is basically going to be taken over by this green. Like at the very end, there is a tiny bit of this blue left over, but it basically gets swallowed up by the green and it just becomes this wild mix of color. It is absolutely stunning. So we got a little bit of the lighter green in there, kind of that dark, rich blue, and then we're going to take and toss some rich chestnut on top of it. Chestnut mixed with a little bit of golden yellow and a touch of charcoal for darkness. So we're throwing this up over top. That way you get just the little hint, and you can see, you know, it kind of mixes in with the dye. So you're getting, you know, 5, 6, 7 different colors by only using 3 colors. You know, you're getting everything mixed in there. Make sure we cover up the whites for sure. With these colorways, you want to make sure that you get your hands in there, get them mixed. This one here, I don't have my gloves, so I'm going to use a spoon. We're going to get it mixed up here. Different way of doing it, but same basic process. You know, you get your spoon in there, you get it mixed up, push that yarn down, kind of fluff it up in the middle, and you just push all the way across like this. That way you're getting that dye as deep as you can possibly get it. And you can see, you know, you look at this pot here, you can see the dye's kind of on top, and we're just forcing it down underneath. There is still going to be quite a bit of white on the other side, not a ton, but quite a bit of white. So we still need to flip and we still need to dye the other side. If we didn't, it would come out unsatisfactory is the best way for me to put it. Sometimes when you're dyeing, you don't know if you're dyeing, you know, the start of a hank, the end of a hank, or if you're in the middle of a hank. And so making sure that you dye both sides gives us the ability to make sure that we're getting everything nice and even across the hank itself. That way, you know, when you're starting a project and the end of the project, you're getting the same colors out of the strand itself. Definitely going to cook it off. We don't want this to mix too much. We do want to have some of that variation. So cook it off for a good 10 to 12 minutes at least on this side. I've been asked before, does it hurt to cook it for longer? And the short answer is no. Technically, you could cook this for quite a while, like a couple of hours. Okay, we might have some problems, but you know, the difference between 10 minutes and 15 minutes is not massive. Like I said before, once we get this flipped, you can see there's still not necessarily some white, but it's definitely not as dark on this side as I would like it to be. It'd be, you know, kind of a sad ending if I had left it like this. So we're going to toss some green right across. We're going to do big zigzags. When I'm talking to my guys, I always say, when we're doing these zigzags, we do a big M, like so, making sure that we hit all of the skeins all the way across. Big M, and then we're going to take and follow up with a couple big N's. So M's, then N's, absolutely stunning. I love how these turn out. So we got that green across. Then into the triangles here, made by the M's, we are going to pour little bit of that chestnut again. So we want that brown to come through. Now this is basically a chestnut mixed with a golden yellow. It's a little bit lighter than the front side, so we're pushing a little bit more towards, I'm going to say orange, but a little bit more of the rusty brown, if you will, on this side here. So we want to kind of get it in there, get it across all the pots. Absolutely beautiful. I love this. And then we're going to take and follow through with the ends. That's N for no, Nancy, whatever you need. Ends, we're going to do 2 ends across these skeins. So 1 end and then a second end, just kind of like that. And that way, you know, we're not following the exact same path we were with the M's, and you're getting lots of variation. So here we're tossing in a little bit of gray. I've talked about this before. Gray isn't necessarily there to stand out as gray. Sometimes a gray is there to just kind of darken up what's already in the pot. So it gives us some variation on colors that are already there, and really just kind of gives us some more depth into the colorway itself. This Down to Earth it's beautiful. I don't know how else to put it. I love this colorway. I've actually thought about retiring this a couple times, but to be honest, I can't bring myself to retire it. It is too pretty, and greens are my thing, right? So if you didn't know that already, I love greens, and Down to Earth just really, really shines. Beautiful colorway. Anyways, get this mixed up. We're back with the spoon. We're going to take and mix it in there. A little bit different, but myself personally, I really do prefer using the gloves. I just feel like, you know, I can get in there a little bit deeper. I'm a little bit more hands-on. So let's get these twisted up. When we're doing our twists, you've got a couple options. Number one, these skeins have 2 ties on them. So if I really want to keep them clean and I don't want to have to mess with them too much, I can keep my ties towards the end and then just tuck them in through the top. And it just keeps that skein absolutely stunning all the way down. That was on our worsted weight, by the way. 100% merino. Superwash, of course. This here is our fingering weight. So I've got the ties at the end as well. If we were working with a different set of colors, like when we're doing the 3-on-3, I would do my best to ensure most of the colors end up at that bottom. Just that seems to be the focal point of the yarn itself. So I want to make sure that that comes through. But with this, on the other hand, there is just so much variation in these skeins that you don't really have to worry about that too much. You can worry more about, you know, making the twisted hank look prettier. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So another one on our fingering weight. That's an 80/20 merino nylon. Beautiful base to work with. Sock weight yarn, if you will. This is probably one of my favorites when it comes to photography. It really shows the colors and the variations really, really well. And now I don't know if that's because of the base itself, because in all honesty, our DK weight is the same makeup. It's 80/20 merino nylon as well. But I kind of think it's got something to do with there's more wraps on the hank itself, right? So there's more opportunity for those colors to kind of play and interact. Get them into the light box here. Fingering weight, of course. You can see those greens, those browns, and just that hint of blue. Like it really doesn't jump out at you, but you know it's there, right? It's beautiful. It really is. I don't know how else to put it. Another one on our fingering weight base, and then I'm gonna grab our worsted weight. I'm gonna kind of throw it into the center here. I find the worsted weight really sits very, very well with our fingering weight in terms of holding the color itself. Both of them really tend to shine. They don't fight each other. I don't see, you know, a lot lighter when we're talking about our worsted weight. All right, so here we got over into the Swatch machine, the Addy Express, if you will. As this was spinning around, there is a little bit of a pattern coming through, but it's definitely not on purpose. Just that brownie chestnut there seems to be creating a little bit of a spiral, but I don't think it's really going to stand out too much. Like it just comes across absolutely stunning. Look at that. Get it into the light box here, a little bit better light. We are running at 5,000 Kelvin, which is as close to daylight as we can possibly get it. I find a light box really allows me to control the lighting and get true colors to the best of my abilities, whereas natural lighting is going to depend on whether or not it's a cloudy day. Okay, so I've been asked to slow this down a little bit. I want to get into this. So these here are the ties on the skein itself. This is our worsted weight. It's got 2 ties on it, one on one side, one on the other. And you can see this one here doesn't have the 4 strands. The first one we were looking at had the 4 strands. So I'm going to go nice and slow when we cut these so that you can kind of see where to cut, what to do, what you're looking for. I really don't want to hear, somebody accidentally cutting their hank in the wrong spot. That would be a horrible, horrible thing to take and come across. So this here, you can see it's kind of tucked in behind here. Like they give it a little bit of a twist and then they wrap it around and then they twist it and wrap it around again. So it gives the illusion that it might be wrapped up into the hank, but it is literally just a single tie. So we can cut it here and then just basically pick at it a little bit and it comes right off. So not attached to the hank in any way, shape, or form. This one, on the other hand, there are 4 different strands. You can see this side and this side, they are part of the hank. And then this one here is part of that tie. So you can see it kind of wraps around and then twists and then wraps around. What I like to do is I like to cut off the entire knot, kind of loosens up both ends, and then we just pull the tie off like so. This one here, these are actually both on top, which is kind of nice. This one here kind of wraps around the bottom, I think. And this one wraps around the top. I don't see either one of them actually tucking in behind. So it doesn't actually matter which one we grab. I'm going to wrap this up just a little bit. Tuck it in so that it doesn't get twisted up while we're trying to cake this hank. There we go. We're going to pull this. I think this is the direction we're going to go with. It kind of unraveled a little bit. I like to take 3 or 4 spins off the Swift just to make sure that we're not going to run into knots or anything like that. So get this flipped around and over top, and then we're just going to turn it on here. I think, yeah, I made a mistake. I should have kind of pulled that more towards the center. We've got a few extra strands around the bottom. It's okay. It's not a big deal. We can kind of tuck them in after we're done, but not my favorite. I like to keep everything nice and clean. So, oh, look at that. We got a little bit of a jump in the hank itself. There we go. Okay. As long as you're gentle, you can kind of, tuck it out under from beneath the guides, get everything back the way it is supposed to be. And hopefully it didn't mess our cake up too much. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We've got a couple strands here that kind of fell out, but it's okay. We're just going to pull a few extra off and then wrap them around the outside of the cake itself. If this was bad enough, like if it was the middle of the cake that had some horrible issue, you can always cake these again. It doesn't have to always be, you cake it once and you're done. You can technically cake these as many times as you want. So into the light box, give that a spin. Absolutely beautiful cake. Turned out quite well considering the issue. Normally when the Swift jumps like that, you got to stop and you got to start over. But you can see the outside to the inside of the cake all exactly the same. That means we mixed it really, really well. Beautiful die. Okay, so it is time to get into the fade. Right off the hop, we have Down to Earth. Now, beside that, we have Driftwood. Driftwood is another one of those highly variegated yarns. This one here, it's not a deep immersion. It's kind of a little bit less than a mid immersion, I would say. But Driftwood is another one of my personal favorites. The two of these play so well together. Beside that, we have Christmas Cookies. I've been told that this doesn't really look like a Christmas cookie, but if you think about gingerbread and like a green tree in the background, it is totally a Christmas cookie. Anyways, beside that, we have Blessed Bluebird, kind of fading off into the blue side of things. I went a little bit different with this one. I went, kind of from the green side over to the blue side, and it just really plays so well together. Beside that one, we have Horsing Around. It's kind of hard to see, but Horsing Around has just the tiniest little tint of green to it. And then it's got that nice, rich chestnut to it. And beside that, we have the First Frost. So, nice and light brown, lots of white, kind of fading over into the green, and then fades off into the blue. Absolutely stunning. On the semi-solid side of things, we've got Down to Earth, and then beside that, we have Forest Green. To be honest, this is probably my favorite combo with this colorway. If you were only looking for 2 skeins, that would be the direction I would go. On the other side, we have Chestnut. Again, if you were looking to fade over into the brown side of things, that would be the perfect 2 skein, or this would be the perfect 3 skein set for sure. Now beside that, I have a leaf green, and I'm not 100% sold on the leaf green. Like it is fairly matchy, but the leaf green is just a bright, vibrant green, and I really think that the forest green is the way to go on that one. Anyways, it pairs up nicely. I'm not sure which direction I'm gonna go. I've got another selection in there. Creamy coffee, on the other hand, actually pairs up quite nicely. You could definitely replace chestnut with a creamy coffee in this colorway, and I think they would pair just fine. If I had the option between the two, I would go with chestnut, hands down. But, you know, this is going to bug me. I really like this midnight, and I really think I'm just going to pull this forest green, and I'm going to toss the midnight in here, and yeah, I don't know why. This blue, it's calling to me at this point. Not necessarily with the forest green itself, but just the blue that's in Down to Earth matched up with that midnight it's really pretty. It really is. So that would be the direction I would probably go there. And then to top things off, if you were looking to go the safe route, I would go with the charcoal. All right, so it's time for that big reveal. If you haven't seen Down to Earth before, the greens, the browns, that hint of blue, it is a stunning colorway, and this inspiration photo is to die for. Literally, look at that beautiful little mushroom, very earthy, down to earth, of course, out of the pots into your hands. Thanks for stopping by. I hope to see you again soon.